That guy right there has 3 nipples. Jay said when we were walking down the street packed full of Melburnians looking for their next coffee fix. I turned and had already lost him. It's just like one of those new iPhone cameras. Those 3 lenses scared the crap out of me, Jaden said. It's just a little too much. Why the hell do you need 3 of them? And why did that guy need 3 nipples? The story today began and ended on the streets. It's funny how Jay could know my town better than I do. In Melbourne, getting coffee has a very specific connotation. People here can never get out of their house without having their first cup. Unlike America, where coffee is treated as commodity, in Melbourne, it is a kind of art. But for Jay, his art was a kind of nerves that brought him down into the gritty parts of Melbourne. And coffee for him is the gateway drug to the stories of the streets. Only with that kick of energy could he muster up the courage to talk to absolute strangers. The first stranger we met was in front of the state library. Jaden and I were fantasizing about dating one of those cute girls sitting by the curbs of the state library, as an old guy with a bag of cardboard paper came up to us and said, "I wouldn't sit on that cold concrete, your asshole will fall out." Jay walked up to him and started a conversation, and within minutes they were on about the Bible and Jesus and how chocolate can make you shit blood.
Greg and his holy arsehole. It was a struggle to wake up today. Eventually, an old man woke me from a dazed state on the street, typing digits into a payphone with anxious and impatient fingers, like his life depended on it. His beard grey, his bag dumped on the floor beside his feet, made from multicoloured fabric, containing broken and stained cardboard and a grey umbrella. I watched him for a while, alone, on a grey stump in the middle of the street, talking frantically, to an empty call I think. After the man hung up minutes later, he looked at me, with a look I hadn't seen before on the street. It was as if he wanted to talk, yet at the same time he wanted to be left alone. I couldn't read it, so I left him be. Moments later, after reunited with my friends, sat on a step, playing with lighters and deodorant cans, he stumbles over with eyes of discomfort, coherently mumbling, "You can't sit there," pointing at us, holding his tattered bag of cardboard. "You shouldn't sit on stone or steel, unless you want your arsehole to fall out and bleed dry. Oh, and you can't eat chocolate and meat because it's bad for your kidneys, you hear me?" "Is that right?" I say. "For hell it is," he says. "That's why I carry the cardboard with me, in this old tattered bag. People think I'm crazy when they hear my advice, but I'm not, I promise. I'm just careful like Jesus, that's all. But still, people don't believe me. But when you get old, and your arsehole falls out, and they wish they listened to me."
Gregory the Sicilian preaches, emerging from the telephone box like a storybook pop-up. Stone and steel, he preaches, somehow making more sense than my rambling nonno. He preaches a cardboard seat, or a whole cinema of them, in a frayed bag on his back. We can't sit here, apparently, not because he's claimed it, but for the truth he preaches. If we ignore what he preaches, we accept promises of a bleeding rear and our future seatlessness. I make no move to stand, writing my rear a death sentence, in rejection of his preachers. I am a learner, preacher Greg preaches, of meat and chocolate like drill bits for your kidneys. Then my kidneys are holy.
The conversation was soon over and we went back into the streets. On our way, a guy in an orange jacket stopped us. "Have you ever considered Buddhism, my friend?" The guy had a German accent. "Well, not particularly," Jay said. "I wouldn't really say so, but what you got there, man?" "I'm a monk, and I'm just here trying to spread peace," he said with one of those smiles that would piss off any depressed person. The kind of smile you cannot obtain in a society not designed for humans. The passing crowd faded in and out, and we stood still with the man in the orange jacket, listening to his sermons, and right then and there, you can buy this book on donation. You can learn all about meditation. An ambulance stopped on the other side of the street in front of a adult video store. A homeless man was motionless on the floor, and by the looks of it, he overdosed. "By the way, this is how we can spread peace," the monk said. "I also run these meditation workshops." The medical staff and the police cars also pulled over, as the nurse was administering CPR to the overdosed homeless man in a jacket with a Union Jack on it. They brought over the stretcher and pulled the guy up there, and soon the entire load of people disappeared from the streets. We need to clear out all the miseries of the world. It was the same old smile all over again as he eyed a passing ambulance. So yeah, if you want to try it out, make sure you get on the right journey so you're not bothered by suffering.
I saw the monk made for money today, again, on the corner of Swanston Street, where the Fiend of the Night go bump in the light. He was wearing orange like usual, asking people to read his books at the cost of a small donation, promising enlightenment. My friends and I asked him if he's helped people today. He didn't know what to say, so he smiled and asked my friend to buy his book, because apparently it will show you how to be a good person. Yet in the same moment, a man laid on the floor shook violently, frothing at the mouth, overdosing on what I expect to be crystal junk at the other side of the road. I asked the monk in the moment if he thought man should suffer. He looked at me with plastic eyes, and a smile formed in hell, and said, "Suffering does not exist. It should not exist. Suffering is only for the weak. If you read my book, you will learn why and how suffering is for the weak." I looked at him, he looked at me. We said nothing, but I couldn't help picture him stood on a pile of half-dead bodies, screaming down at strangers, "Buy my book! Buy my book! It will show you how to help people! Buy my book! Follow me! I know the way!" You don't need to follow a god stranger to help people. No book nor saint can teach you how to help people, because most of the time strangers need help in the most unexpected of times, like that man lying on the floor, overdosed. Just do, don't talk, and help when you can, if you can. Hey, it's better than preaching, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to listen.
Philip's smile should unnerve me. Instead, it fills today's void with the Bhagavad Gita, ensnaring me for a moment, and a moment more, holding me so long, I miss the ambulance pulling up outside Club X. Philip talks about suffering, but fails to see the suffering man on the pavement of Swanston Street. His eyes are wide awake with life, in ignorance of death's closeness.
The movements, the literary scenes, all those grand things we loved all started from a humble place. Sometimes it's at the back lot of a theater or after a university class, but for us it was a food court where we realized everything was real. We downed pieces of pizza and took a drink of Coke and realized what we must do. "There's a tale to this city," Jay said, "and I'll find it. Believe me, I'll find it." And off he went to another stranger, into another strange world of noises, visions, and the endless toils of mercy and callousness.
Welcome to the street.